Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. My name is Tanay All, and I'm an anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry veterans to come together to share their knowledge, ideas, thoughts, and best practices with one another, as well as with upcoming industry leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings of all our industry stalwarts. We hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leader interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone, right? As they help us to work on, identify, and nurture trade secrets that have already proven a success formula for so many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such industry stalwart on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Milind Bhat. He emerges as an exemplary technology and financial leader who has held various remarkable and intricate positions. With his role as operations manager at Mont Trading Ghana Limited, he has brought forth a multifaceted skill set overseeing procurement and delivery operations, budget management, and intricate MIS analysis. Having begun his journey in the realms of technology with Cognizant Technology Solutions Limited in 1998, he has had really vast professional purview. At Larsen and Toubro Infotech Limited, he spent over a decade and spearheaded ERP implementations, global template design, and strategic automation for finance processes, solidifying his reputation as a forward-thinking financial strategist. His role as operations manager at Mont Trading Ghana Limited has brought forth a multifaceted skill set overseeing procurement and delivery operations, budget management, and intricate MIS analysis. Currently, he has been serving as Associate Director at OTIS Global Services Center Private Limited since December 2018. We welcome you on the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanay. Good afternoon, everyone.
So, Mr. Bhat, to begin with, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
Yeah, I think you covered a lot of it already, but just to give a brief, I started way back in May 1997 when I qualified as a chartered accountant. And like any other, freshly qualified person, I joined in an accounting team in one of the private limited companies in Pune. And, that's where I started getting my hands dirty, if I may say that. And graduating through the various levels from, being a doer to managing, supervising, making sure that the results are coming out. I got to a stage where I became an assistant vice president in one of the foreign companies who had their operations in Mumbai. And I was overseeing their back office, their, global reporting, funding, financial management, and also making sure that the reconciliations for all these entities were done on time to give a semblance of what the books of accounts actually reflected. Now, in this period, I got this glorious opportunity of working overseas, which was an opportunity which I didn't want to let go, and it was more into operations, which also included financial operations. So, that's where I went to Ghana. I took up this position and, got to learn a lot about what it takes to, manage not just foreign people, but people who may not necessarily have a great skill set, right? It's because we were into agro-based trading, procurement, and the entire processing of the agro produce, and then looking at the factory yield and making sure that all the deliveries that was supposed to be shipped out of the country happened on time. A lot depended on that.
Yep.
It was a 3-year stint, had a lot of exposure on it, came back to India and continued being in with an agro company in India, right? During this time, and there was a huge influx of companies that were, getting into process consulting, getting into IT consulting, and I was offered a chance to expand my horizons, if I may say that, to get into ERP maintenance and ERP support. I jumped at that opportunity because, given my 12, 13 years of experience before that, I thought it was the right time to, learn something new. And that was something which, kind of was an up and coming thing at that point of time. And LTI gave me that great opportunity, and Larsen and Toubro Infotech, where I joined in, I joined in as a ERP support analyst, and then as I expanded my horizons in LTI, I eventually became a project manager managing deliveries, and eventually a senior manager where I was also handling the entire Oracle division in Pune. I was the designate Oracle BU head for Pune, and working through all of that, I think the logical progression after that was getting into a leadership position, and that's where Oracle offered me. I mean, I'm sorry, OTIS Global Shared Services offered me that opportunity to get into a leadership position, and here I am, handling a team of 60 plus, making sure that the global closing happens on time, the reporting happens on time, and life is good.
Sir, in various roles, you've been involved in process standardization and automation. How do you identify opportunities for standardization, and what strategies do you employ to successfully implement automation processes?
See, basically, if you look at a scenario, especially in a global shared services scenario that I am working in right now,
Yes, sir.
the key to it is, to look at the existing processes. The way I go about it is to have a look at, module by module, the processes, the documentation on those processes, and actually look at the end-to-end process. When you look at the end-to-end process and you see certain things that are being done repetitively by an individual, which is time consuming. Because at the end of the day, when you are doing this for multiple entities, if you standardize it, if you have different companies doing it in a different manner, even if you are if you look at us as OTIS, we have an entity and we have existence across more than 153 countries, right? So if I have every country doing it their own way, it becomes an issue doing it as a shared service model, right? So that's where I see, okay, so this process across OTIS, everyone is doing it, but there are some changes here and there, and that's where you bring in the value of standardization. You bring in standardization on those repetitive processes, and bring in economies of scale, because that's where you can leverage your own people doing multiple entities at the same time, rather than having one person for each entity. Now, so obviously it is identifying those areas that can be standardized, and it's funny because once you identify what can be standardized, it automatically leads to, is there a scope for automation?
Yeah.
Because you standardize it, and as you keep looking through the standardized process, hey, why do I need to do this? I can actually put in, some automation there. Now the automation, there are again multiple levels of automation, right? There are some things which can be in-house. To give you an example, there is a huge data that needs to be sorted out, aligned, made proper, and can you have a template, or can you have a macros that can do it automatically for you? Now for that you don't need to, you generally, every organization has these people who are experts on Excel. Excel is something which is lifeblood of a lot of accountants. And people do have these tendencies to learn macros, do these automations within the macros and all of that. So those are low-hanging fruits which can be easily implementable, not a lot of financial outlay there. But then there are some other automations that, yes, the automations have to be done, but then there are different stakeholders involved. There can be external agencies which you would need to enlist to do those modifications that are required, modifications to ERPs, modifications to even the tools that you use for doing your day-to-day activity. Right? So then that is a different approach altogether, because there you need to identify, you first need to define what you want to automate. But that's the most difficult part. A lot of times, if you don't define what you want to automate properly, then everything else fails. Right? So making sure, to identify what you want to automate and where you want to reach, so your starting point and your ending point have to be very, very clear. You have to be absolutely clear that, you have documented what you want, and then identify the stakeholders in the journey. Because there will be at different points of time, different people that get affected or have to be involved. So once you do that, then you do a business case. Now your business case has to have all of this, as to what you want to achieve, what is going to be the financial outlay. I mean, again, that may not be inch perfect, but at least you need to have a semblance of an idea as to what the financial outlay is going to be. Because at the end of the day, you need a project sponsor, you need someone to sponsor that from an organization level, and you also need to come out with what is the expected ROI out of that investment. Because at the end of the day, when someone puts in money, they also expect what are you going to get efficiency? Are you going to get, lower time for processing? What are you going to achieve by doing all of it? Once you have that in place, you go in for an approval, right? That is another important milestone, because all of this is good on the paper, but someone has to put their thumbprint saying that, yes, we agree and we want to finance this process. That done, then you can get into the project planning and execution process. So you do a plan, you make sure that you have the different milestones in place, and then of course the regular updates to the stakeholders. Then you go into the SDLC, the software development life cycle. Again, that in itself is a huge activity. Now, hoping all of this falls in place and making sure that you at the end of the day you have an implementable automated tool that can make your life easy. So yes, so that's the entire kind of end-to-end stuff that I can tell you as we what we follow.
So, what advice do you have for aspiring finance professionals, especially those aiming for leadership roles in financial management?
Well, the most important thing is to be adaptable and flexible in this world. Today things are changing so fast. They are changing so fast from a technology perspective, from an advancement perspective, development perspective. Financial professionals can't just sit back and say, oh, I know accounting, so that's it. You do need to know what's changing in the overall atmosphere. You need to make sure that you are abreast. I'm not saying you need to be an expert in everything, but you at least need to have an idea of what's happening and how it's going to affect you. Most importantly, people should not be afraid to take up challenges. Generally, challenges are, your steps to your progression. You be adaptable, you take up challenges, identify your strengths. A lot of times people just say, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. But is it your strength? Identify your strength. Make sure you hone it in such a way that, you are the BAP in that area. Right. And that's the thing, right? I mean, today people want someone who can, be that go-getter and tell this is what will happen. And if you have that skill set, I think sky is the limit.
Yeah. So, how and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
Well, that's very interesting. Actually, ESG as a concept, I read about it in one of the journals. There is an ebook that was published by SIRC way back in 2021, December, by CA M.K. Sridhar. Now, I was fortunate that actually it was more from, we have these points that we need to, make sure we achieve in a year. And this one of these books was recommended in our study circle. So I as I was going through this, it was like changing scenario of corporate governance in India. And it was quite interesting when they talked of CSR, they talked of, the green points and stuff like that, which was interesting. It kind of piqued my interest, but, it was still a concept by that time. A lot of it actually gained momentum sometime in February when, as we were discussing some stuff with our internal auditors. One of the things that they brought up, they were the EY guys who are our internal auditors who said that, this is going to be a great thing, that it is going to be mandated by SEBI, that the top 1,000 listed companies have to include this in their board report and stuff like that. And it's going to throw up a huge opportunity for professionals. That kind of had my antennas up, and this was further kind of, like hitting the nail on the head. We had this conference by Directors Institute, which actually gave us a good insight of what those regulations were, what they meant for a professional, what the organizations needed to do, and what we needed to do as an individual to leverage on this opportunity, right? So I think that's the journey of this ESG interest.
So, as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Well, as we talked about right now, right? It is like more than 26 years of total experience of financial management, process consulting, process implementation, ERP implementation, governance, project management. And of all of these skill sets, the personal skill sets of effective communication, the ability to manage diverse teams, making sure that, analyze the problems that we have, we come out with solutions, and then, with all of that, that enthusiasm, bringing that to the team, making sure that the team is energized, engaged, and achieve the goal. That's one of my strong points, if I may say that.
Yeah.
So I definitely think this will bring great value to any ESG initiative that any organization wants to start.
100%. So, as someone working closely with technology, what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with respect to changes in technology, and what changes do you expect to see in the future with the advent of all these new technologies like IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, Web 3.0?
Like I said, it is scary, the way things are changing. You can imagine when I started off way back in May 1997, for us, Tally was an ERP, right? That was the best that we got. And we started off, or I started off by actually writing manual books of accounts, like cash book, journal, posting it into the ledger, trying out the trial balance and all of that. For us, year end 31st March was a nightmare. It rolled into 3-4 days and sleepless nights, extended hours, so on and so forth. Today I work in an organization which has strict deadlines, but no sleepless nights, thanks to the ERP. If that's not development, what is, right? I mean, this technology has enabled all of this. And, I mean, think of it this way, right? Sitting here, I can start an AC in the house. Sitting in my office, I can control stuff. At times it is scary because, there are no server rooms anymore. Everything is on the cloud. You don't know where it is. We don't see, I mean, I worked for organizations which had like, one floor full of server rooms. There were huge servers, and there were, people looking at the data. We were always scared where if the servers crashes, what happens? All of that is gone. Now it's seamless. Yeah, I don't need to worry if it's a bank holiday. I can still make payments. It's all electronic. So all of this has, is a result of all these changes, right? And when you see what the future holds, who knows what the future holds? I read about Web 5.0, where, it's like telepathic. You think of something and there is a way that you can, get it done. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, what else? I mean, driverless cars, what are we looking at? So it is interesting. It is, but yes, what is more important is, in all of this, we have to be cognizant of the fact that yes, there is only so much that technology can do, but then, there is always a requirement of that human expertise where, you need to make sure that what the technology needs to do is documented, explained correctly. Otherwise, it's all fail, right? So that is where we need to keep our feet on the ground and make sure that, we lay those ground rules properly.
So we're building a community here of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. What are your thoughts about this initiative taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
I think this is amazing. I mean, to be very honest, to have, if you really look at those videos and, you get an inspiration from the world leaders or the other, experts in their areas. You get to understand what went behind, what created them, right? And it gives you enough, enough direction. It gives you enough encouragement if you want to follow in their steps, right? And, it is always difficult for someone to make their own path, but if the direction is there, it makes the journey easier. So I think it's an amazing initiative, and hats off to you guys to think of something like this, to bring such a diverse community together, and have these views put out on the internet, leveraging the technology, enabling people to have a great land for learning.
Great, sir. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you so much for joining us today, and wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. Thank you so much once again, sir.
Thanks, Anay. Thanks. It was a pleasure talking to you and lovely having this interaction. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Same here, sir. You too.